Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Rolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. Year-end edition.
The year-end indeed.
And what a year.
Besides some...
Can't end fast enough. It just can't end fast enough.
I keep wondering if the next year is going to be better, and in some ways it kind of is, in some ways it kind of isn't. I know personal life stuff has been really tough for you.
Yeah.
And then there's just world events in general that have been not good, to put it lightly.
Oh, you mean there's stuff that happens beyond my front door? Dang, I didn't know.
Yeah. Squirrels mostly, but, you know.
Stupid squirrels.
Squirrels.
They're revolting.
It's the tails. Their tails are too big for their body.
Well, this is our year-end. I'm on a calendar year-end, because obviously we haven't been at this for a year, but we've been at this for 5 months.
I think we started sometime in June, so...
No, I think we started like early July.
Maybe, something like that.
So, yeah, we're like 5.5, 6, somewhere in there, 5 to 6.
Which has been nice. I know that we're not very big right now, but hopefully with time it'll grow. There's some ambitions that we do have. I think getting a camera eventually in the next year.
We want to keep our listeners, not scare them away.
Keep the listeners, for crying out loud. And I want to start having like graphics and play some stuff so that you could see, some footage other than just our logo.
Honestly, the biggest thing we need, and this will probably be the biggest thing I would love to have, is an editor. Somebody who can cut these right, because, like, here's just fun fact, I guess. I've been doing this editing for majority since we started, and I've had some training. I interned a long time ago at a audio studio, so I know some of the ins and outs and how to do this. But I'm so hyper-focused on not just waveforms, but on clicking and clacking of tongues and noise, and it's not healthy for me to be focusing on this all the time. So it'd be nice to have somebody else who can do this for a living and look at us talking and be like, okay, clearly they paused for like 2-3 minutes trying to get the words out, but I'm going to chop it up so it sounds like they were just there.
Well, maybe we can look and see if there's anybody available, but
we just need somebody who makes us look and sound smarter than we really are.
But that all costs money, and
I know, we need to get there, so.
Yeah. So, hoping to get there in the next year and hoping that we can continue this.
Yeah.
When we started this, we started it because we talk about all this stuff anyway.
Yeah, this is pretty much our basic conversations anyhow.
Yeah, so like when we get together, we talk about games, we talk about other things in our lives too, obviously, that are outside the scope of this podcast. But
yeah, we're not entirely boring people.
But, like when we talk about gaming and stuff like that, what you hear in this podcast is pretty much the way we talk. Yeah,
this is our passion. Video games are our hobby, and for me at least, it's supposed to be a job. So I'm very passionate about video games, and so the chance to be able to talk about them all the time, we do it anyways. We'd still be doing it even if we didn't have the podcast. It's just nice that we get to have this podcast, and now we get to share our opinions with you guys.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. We wanted to share it with everybody else.
And just, get you guys involved in our arguments so you can tell us which one of us is right.
The answer is always...
It's me. It's always me.
The answer is always Monster Punter.
Yeah, no, it's me.
Right?
It's me. It's Matt. It's always Matt. Matt's right.
You're not going to drown me out on this. It's me.
Yeah, no, it's me. It's me. It's totally me. Anyhow,
it's me.
But, yeah, definitely just want to say thank you. Obviously, we say thank you every time, but we do mean it every time. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. And we'll just, since we're already this early in the podcast, just plug it anyways. Please like, comment, subscribe for YouTube. Hopefully this next year we're going to have other platforms. I know we talked about it before. I really want to look into other channels of just different avenues of getting our voices out there. So, but anything you guys do to support us just by listening and then giving us those comments, those sweet, sweet comments, I know the past several episodes have been sporadic in release, so it hasn't always been like a comment-heavy conversation, but I do want to give you guys that opportunity. I always want you guys to talk to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like about the podcast. What are your opinions about the news stories we cover? What are your opinions about what we talk about in general? We want to know. We really do. We want to build this community. And yeah, just any support you guys give us is just every little step closer to making this a bigger dream than it was supposed to be.
I just have to say thank you as well. We're willing to interact. Just reach out to us. We're happy to talk. What you're getting here is our honest opinions, what we really feel, and just mostly off the cuff. So we don't try to script anything. We talk about some of the things we're going to cover, but we don't.
Yeah,
really...
I mean, hang on.
Oh my gosh, are you?
I'm sorry. Yes, we totally believe.
You know what? You know what?
No, it's not scripted. We're honest, and we just appreciate you guys. So, enough gushing. We got video games to talk about.
Yeah. So,
what do you want to do first? You want to do your news stuff first?
Yeah, let's just.
Or do you want to do the games first?
Well,
because you had news stories. I was just gonna talk about video games, but you had news.
Well, I want to talk about this issue where there was a company that removed the loot boxes. It's called Supercell, popular free-to-play mobile game Brawl Stars, is removing all loot boxes from their game, and some of their player base is upset. For context, they released in 2019 with your typical free-to-play mumbo-jumbo, where they had loot boxes, your battle passes, among other things like that. And since it's all random loot, if you want that nice, bright, shiny skin, you would have to possibly dump a ton of money into it. And my friend in Smite once wanted a skin out of one of the loot boxes. There was 50 items in that loot box. He got it as the last item. He was so mad. He didn't play for like a month. And
don't blame him. I mean,
yeah, the loot. I think random loot like that.
Random loot boxes is a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea.
I mean, I'm sorry. Let me amend that statement. I do want to amend that. Random loot boxes are a terrible for-profit decision. If it costs you real-world money to access a random loot box, that's a terrible idea. But if I'm earning in-game currency just because I play the game and I get a chance to put this currency into a random loot box to get something, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I guess.
If I'm giving you money for something because I want something specific, then you should give me that something specific. If I'm giving you actual money that's beyond the scope of the game.
Yeah. But one of the reasons I think that they're actually doing this is because of pressure internationally, especially specifically the European Union.
Yeah, they don't want to get sued.
Yeah. They're starting to look into this stuff as gambling, and
which they should.
I think it's great, but I think it's also interesting that a not insignificant portion of their fan base is mad about the random loot boxes being taken away. Now, I understand maybe direct purchase is more than you just getting lucky on a roll and getting the item that you're looking for. Sure, I'll grant you that. But the chance that you're going to do that every time is not there, and overall you're going to pay more.
Yeah.
And it just feeds on things in psychology and the just one more time kind of thing. I'll get it this one more time. I'll get it this time or that time, or it's. I mean,
gambling is a very dangerous addiction for people to get. So I completely understand. I understand both sides of this in that sense. Like, I understand them wanting to get rid of loot boxes because of the random peer pressure, because of the possibility of getting sued. But also at the same time, maybe somebody in the heads ups of Supercell had a change of heart and was like, I really don't want to feed gambling addicts anymore. So I can understand that. But then I can also understand the players who are like, hey, I can't get this thing now. That really sucks.
I don't know if they had a moral crisis per se, but however they came to the decision, I think it's good. I think in the long run, it'll be good.
Look, it's the holiday season. I'm just trying to believe in the best of people right now. All right?
And the fact that they've made over $1 billion on that game.
Yes, with a B, folks. Yes. With a B. Billion with a B.
Keep in mind, this is a free-to-play mobile game that's a MOBA. I believe it's in the same vein as, like, Smite or Dota.
League of Legends type.
League of Legends, yeah, that kind of thing. So, absolutely
it is a MOBA, so.
But speaking of free-to-play, or more accurately, live service games.
You bring this up, and I know you're trying to segue into something else, but did you hear about Fortnite?
I know it got an Unreal Engine 5 upgrade.
No, they had a lawsuit. And they lost.
That's right. They had
because of, hey, guess what? In-game purchases, they have to pay out $520 million.
Yep, because they found it as predatory against kids, and they were gathering information.
And of that, $240 million of it is going to the players.
How is it going to the players?
I don't know. That's the one thing I didn't read up on because I wasn't prepared for news today.
I don't understand. I mean, it's a fine from the federal government, if I'm not mistaken. And how often do fines from the federal government go to anything?
But I believe it was a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So I think the judges determined that money I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but yikes, Fortnite. We'll see what happens in the future for Fortnite now. I mean, obviously it's still a top game, but that's gotta hurt in some way.
It's definitely gonna hurt. Maybe this is foreshadowing of the stuff that's going on with the loot boxes and stuff later. But
yeah,
I think we've entered an era in video games where we have multiple avenues to play. And free to play, I'm not necessarily against, but almost every single free to play game is a live service game where they never truly end.
The ones you normally think of, yes. I mean, there's a lot of free-to-play games on Steam that are straight up free-to-play, mainly because those developers want you to play their game because it's probably their first game ever and they want some feedback and they want hopefully build some clout that way. But for the most part, when people think of free-to-play games, they immediately think of games like Fortnite and Brawl Stars and League of Legends.
But the overwhelming majority of live service games are in that vein, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They're trying to get you hooked and keep you in that gameplay loop and try to get you on the grind to get items. That's how they make their money, right? It's literally trying to just make you addicted to the game to a certain degree. Now, interestingly enough, on Kotaku, there's a list of 14 games that died in 2022.
Died? Can you explain died?
You are not able to play these games at all anymore in any form.
Okay. I wanted to make sure people understood that because I was kind of like, well, it's really dead. I mean, I can find a way to play it.
Well, the thing is since these are all live service games, they got to connect to the server, among other things.
So these are servers that have been shut down. You cannot access these games anymore.
Yeah, and I think what's really crazy is you have all live service games that, even if you pumped a bunch of money into these things, you're done. You can't play it anymore. They're lost to the ether.
You know what's really funny is, because I'm kind of looking at the list of some of these, I've never heard of most of these.
they weren't terribly
that one's
popular.
Shocking, yeah.
Yeah, the Jump Force one was definitely surprising. And one that I want to point out in particular that's really egregious in my opinion is the Overwatch game.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, let's be honest. Overwatch isn't dead. You could play it again as Overwatch 2.
It's still not the same. It's not the same. But one of the ones that's getting the most attention here is Project Cars and Project Cars 2, and I think that it's a shame because there are people who like these games. They really liked these games.
It sucks when any game gets shut down.
Yeah, and I think you could actually like build your own cars and things like that. The other one is there's one that I actually on this list that I have played.
Yeah, this one's definitely sad.
And that's Terra.
Yeah.
And honestly, as far as like an MMO formula, I thought it was a really interesting take on the MMO formula.
Absolutely, and I think if I remember correctly, this is really the first MMO to have come out where you could actually use your controller as intended. Not just like you had to mod it or, it wasn't an afterthought. The controller was first and foremost like a forefront idea. And so many games have tried to copy this idea, and so many of them suck. Terra was not that.
It was actually a pretty.
It was really
game.
good. It was
a pretty good game. And interestingly enough, I put my Monster Hunter skills to use in this game. I was playing a warrior, and I was taking down big bads all by myself that you would normally take down or use a party to take down. And that's because I had the patience to like fight the monsters, and I had 50-minute fights in Monster Hunter because for those who haven't played Monster Hunter, missions are typically 50 minutes. You have 50 minutes to kill the monster.
You have 50 minutes maximum to find, fight, and defeat the monster.
And these days I can usually, like, if I'm using gear of the appropriate level, I could probably get these missions
25.
done, usually 15 to 25 minutes, somewhere in there.
Yeah. It definitely depends on the especially if it's a monster you've already fought before. You're like, oh, this is the same monster in a new game. I got this.
But I was particularly proud of my accomplishments in Terra when it first came out. The fact that I was able to like take out monsters that I had really no business taking out. But speaking of games that died, going from games that did die in 2022, let's talk about all the games.
Games that should die.
You got an idea? What's a game that should die?
Oh, dang it, now I'm on the spot. I don't... You know what? I just can't think of a game off the top of my head that should die.
Metroid.
No.
Okay, I'm joking.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like, there's plenty of games out there, and every game is for every niche, for every type of person. Sure. But there's just a point where kind of like your interest in that game has died. Plenty of games like that have happened for me where I'm just like, no, I'm done. too many to list, so.
But there are some genuinely bad games.
Oh, absolutely. But there's also some games that have earned that moniker that really shouldn't have when you think about it. Like, they're not as terrible as their hype implies.
I know I'm reaching in the Wayback Machine here, but if I had it to do all over again, I would have destroyed my cartridge of Fester's Quest. That game deserves every bad thing that happens to it. I hated that game.
I didn't mind it.
Hated that game.
Didn't mind it. It was tough. It was a hard game, but I didn't mind it.
Oh my god, that game is terrible. But
I mean, I guess really, if any game should have died, it should be any game that came out under the rainbow of LJN.
Oh, good old LJN.
LJN, awesome action figures, crappy video games.
Titus as well. I can't recall the good Titus game.
I can't believe you said that name.
The infamous Superman 64. I mean, come on. Actually, that game can die in a fire.
Well, Superman 64 was not as terrible. Again, that's one of those games where the hype to hate is not as bad. Not a great game. That's not what I'm not saying. I'm just saying that like people are like, this is like the most reviled game in history. No. There are some pretty bad games, and they're worse than that.
I've played Superman 64.
Yeah.
It is definitely on the list of worst games ever created. And Barbie's... I can't remember what I said last week.
Oh, what you said last week? My Little Pony Ride Along.
That's it.
I will never forget that. I am, sir, making a shirt out of that. Even if it's only for myself. I am totally making a shirt for that. And I'm going to put the logo of our podcast on the back of it. I'm going to advertise this. But My Little Pony Ride Along. That's in the greatest games of all time. That's
the greatest games never made, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Greatest games ever
made. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of great games, though, we need to talk about the greatest games. In our opinion, greatest games came out this year.
Yes.
Now, played a lot of games this year. Not all of them came out this year.
Yep.
But the ones that have come out this year that I've played, I definitely want to talk about. And I think it's fair that we state this ahead of time. It had to have come out this year on the platform we're playing it, and we have to have played it.
Yes.
Because I would love to throw Triangle Strategy on my list, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Understandable.
So simple examples like that. So let's get the first one out of the way. Let's get the most obvious one out of the way, shall we?
The obvious one out of the way. Vampire Savior.
It's Vampire Survivors?
Survivor, sorry.
And yes, that's actually on my list.
I went.
You joked, but ha on you is actually on my list. Vampire Survivors is amazing. It's simple, but so deep, and there's so much that the developer has done for this game in just the short amount of time that it's been out already. In fact, it's already got DLC out, which is fantastic. Added a whole bunch of new characters, a whole bunch of new weapons, a new massive map with different areas in it, and it's really immersive, and it's really cool. And since it is the holiday season, one of the original secret characters in the base game is named Peppino. Peppino is a tree. All right?
Okay.
Got a special skin just for the season. It's a Christmas tree.
Makes sense.
With lights that actually rotate the colors. It's got a little star on top. And when you play as it, the border of the screen has Christmas lights and it's snowing. It is freaking awesome. It is just... It actually put me in the holiday spirit when I started playing them. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So, right. But that was not the one that was immediate off my list. But thank you for bringing that one up. No, and I think it's safe to say this one's on both our lists.
Probably a good call. And that would be the greatest game of the Game Awards, Elden Ring. Oh gosh. I forgot that they called that the game of the year. I just think of Bill Clinton now.
Elden Ring, it is worthy of that title. It is, again, I've said this a million times, I'll say it a million times more. It is not a perfect game. But what it does do well.
I think it's a good game. And don't get me wrong, I did enjoy my time with it. It was one of those that I left and came back to, and left and came back to, left and came back to.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing that I can't get over with it, though. While it is a good game from a gameplay perspective and other things like that, I will not deny that. I can't get over the storytelling. The storytelling in Dark Souls games in general, in my opinion, is poor.
Well, it's interesting considering that this time around, it's not the same story writer. It's George R.R. Martin.
Sure.
So he actually wrote a story, and there are cutscenes, and there is story, and there is the one thing that's different about Elden Ring versus all the other Dark Souls games is that there literally is a beginning, a middle, and an end to this story.
Let me change that for a moment.
Okay.
The story itself doesn't seem that bad. But the story and how it's presented is poor. The fact that in order for me to understand what the hell's really going on with any specificity, the fact that I can't look back on anything I've done to understand the story and how it's gotten to the point where it is, the fact that I have to go outside the game to find those things and look up lore guides and things like that and people on YouTube to learn the lore of the game, I shouldn't really in-depth stuff. Okay, I get it. But the general story, I should be able to understand with some measure of specificity while playing the game.
Well, considering that you did leave and come back and leave and come back, It does. The whole purpose of the game is starting the initial cutscene tells you that the Elden Ring has been shattered, and that you, as the Tarnished, are to try and ascend to be the one who sits upon the Golden Throne. That's the whole point. You're trying to get to the throne so that you can be in charge of the world. Then, and so the whole purpose is you're supposed to get there, and you learn once you meet Melina that you are supposed to go and get these great runes from the lords of the land, and they're in specific areas. They do show you where they are. You go and you get the runes, and you are to, and they talk about it, you're to ascend the plateau, to enter into the city, to sit at the base of the tree. And then when you get to the base of the tree, you are denied access, so then you are given another option, and that is to burn the whole thing down. So then you go and do that, and it progresses you towards the end of the game.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I want more dialogue, whether it's spoken by actors or not, than a one-page, double-spaced thing.
So then you would have a hard time with Legend of Zelda.
I'm not playing Legend. I have stopped playing Legend of Zelda. You're right.
But ever since the beginning, that's kind of.
But I feel like, when I was, we're talking 8-bit games. It's a little bit different in that time.
I don't think so. The whole point of the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring is that they give you, here is the backbone of the story. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Here's the basic backbone. You as the player need to flesh out the story. So how does your character, in Elden Ring's example, how does your Tarnished get to the Elden Throne? How do you live that adventure? Who do you meet and who do you ally with? It's your choice. I think, is it a deep, complex narrative? No. But I don't think the game is intended for that.
Okay, well, we've talked plenty about Elden Ring, I think.
But the reason we did is because it's on both of our lists.
Okay.
But yes, so Elden Ring is obviously on the list. Vampire Survivors is obviously on my list. What's another game from your list?
Well, quite possibly. Well, actually, not quite possibly. It stars. I shouldn't say it even stars. It just has the best fighting game character of all time. Objectively speaking, not subjectively even. King of Fighters 15. Terry Bogard is the best. He just is.
Please tell us your favorite fighting game character in the comments below and why it's not Terry Bogard.
Everybody's gonna put Terry Bogard down there.
Please disappoint this man. Please. I'm begging you. But no, King of Fighters 15, it's a good series. I've definitely enjoyed it myself. My personal favorite character is Leona. Always has been. But I would say, right behind her is, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, which I feel bad.
Well, describe him.
He is Athena's partner.
Athena's partner? It depends on what King of Fighters you're talking about. She's been on different teams.
Her always partner. Not the third member, always her number 2. The Rock Lee looking kind of guy.
I can't remember off the top of my head who you're talking about.
Okay, we'll figure him out. We'll find him out and we'll bring him up. But he's probably my second favorite just because of his character, his persona, and his fighting style is a little unique. I enjoy that. But yeah, no, Leona's definitely my number 1 though.
Moving along.
Yeah.
The expansion for this game came out, and I think it's worthy to bring up. It's not my favorite game in the series, but any game in this series is still very good, and that is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And while we are still making our way through that game, and to have yet to get to that content, we have played it.
I was going to say, that's why it's not on my list personally, but go ahead, keep going.
I just think it's Monster Hunter, right? It's going to be, you've played. Usually the expansions add more weapons and monsters and things like that, but the core gameplay is still there. So I think it's still good to bring up. What's the next one on your list?
I don't know if you I don't know if this one would spark memory in you, but it should. It actually came out before Elden Ring even. Came out on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Infernax.
Oh, Infernax. Okay,
Infernax is such an awesome game.
I still haven't completed that game. It's not. I still have it on Game Pass, though. I'll have to make sure I complete it here soon.
Well, it's... The best thing about it is literally the fact that the game is an homage to Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest.
Which was not a good game.
Arguably, disagree with you.
I hate that game.
The game actually has a multiple endings, good or bad, depending on how you behave. And the game has different sections depending on if you're a good person or a bad person. And once you beat the game, you start unlocking other modes to play, so to speak, other characters. Main character is a knight. You have a mace, and you learn powers. Whereas the next time you play, you are a wizard, and you have to manage your magic, and it's very interesting. It's a lot more complex of a game than it looks like. So I definitely enjoyed it, and I had to give that one out there.
I think it's good, and I honestly think in a world where Konami has ignored their Castlevania franchise, which is a travesty in and of itself, in my opinion, Infernax kind of does scratch that itch.
Okay.
So I think it's worthy to be on the list.
By the way, real quick, his name is Kenzo.
Kenzo. Now that you mentioned it, I do remember.
Okay, yeah, he's my second favorite. Anyways,
he's not in every game, though.
He should be. He's fantastic.
He's not in every game.
Shame. Crime. Anyways.
But here's one that I definitely, when I saw the video for, I was like, this game is going to be great, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, and it's definitely one of the best games of the year, definitely the best game in its genre for the year, in my opinion, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Yes. That one's actually on my list as well.
Absolutely stunning game. If you have not played it, do yourself a favor and check it out at least.
It is the best 6-player multiplayer brawler I've played since the X-Men arcade game back in the 80s. Okay? So we're talking at least almost 40 years. Okay? Almost 40 years. There's been a 6-player brawler that has had anything of this quality.
But you know what it didn't do? It didn't have the bad English in it. I mean, who doesn't want to see Magneto say, "Welcome to die"?
Me, because I was playing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, not an X-Men game.
I know, but still.
So, yeah, no.
I mean,
get accurate.
Welcome to Die is classic, by the way.
Welcome to Die is classic, but that's still.
But, no, it's a great game. It's available on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, download it.
It's on multiple platforms.
It's on multiple platforms, but if it's on... But you can get it, if you have Game Pass already, you can just download it and give it a try. Definitely worth trying. In fact, if there's
Or you could just straight out buy it because it's worth buying.
It is. I will say this much. If there's one version that I would suggest not buying, that is the PlayStation version. Because you cannot play 4 or 6 player local.
Yeah, so that is kind of suck.
You can, because of that, I would suggest not playing. You can play 4-player local, but you can't play 6. 2 of them have to be online at that point. It's just not cool.
Yeah.
So, what's next on your list?
Well, something that is cool. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm gonna say my biggest one for last, but it's kind of obvious. But I'm going to say Valkyrie Elysium.
Valkyrie Elysium.
You're going through that one right now.
Yep.
I loved it. It's a great game. Looking forward to more of it. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that series. Hopefully they continue that series.
Yes.
Now that they've rebooted it. Unfortunately, I can't put Valkyrie Profile Lenneth on this list because it comes out after this recording, so I can't.
But it's just a port of the PlayStation
it doesn't matter.
version.
It's coming out this year. So I want to put on my list. Anyways. No, but Valkyrie Elysium is surprisingly good. And I say surprisingly good because it's not the same formula as the other Valkyrie games. And so I was kind of dismayed by that a little bit at first. But over time, it actually won me over.
Soul Hackers 2. I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but just really quick, I don't want to beleaguer all the points I've made so far on it. I just thought it was worthy of being on this list, and if you are an RPG fan, it's worth checking out.
It's a video game and you push buttons.
I suppose I can't deny that. This game I've played just the beginning of, and I'm looking forward to playing the rest of it, and that's Dealfield Chronicle. It's a real-time strategy game to a certain degree. The gameplay seems unique. It's worth looking at. There's a demo out there, everybody. Definitely check out that game too.
I played a little bit of Shovel Knight Dig, and I really liked it. I didn't get to play all of it. I don't personally own it, but a friend had it, so I was playing it. Really fun. Looking forward to playing more of that one. But had to give that one at least a very honorable mention. So.
The last game on my list is one that I discovered a couple weeks ago playing with some friends on PC Game Pass, and that is Warhammer 40k Darktide. Actually really cool. You could think of it as a Left 4 Dead competitor or Back 4 Blood competitor. Really interesting and cool. I made Heihachi from the Tekken series. My guy looks... It's pretty funny anyway. With the spiky hair and everything. But I think if you're into those kind of games where it's co-op survival, I think it's worth your time. Definitely check it out.
Well, I still have a couple more.
Go for it.
Definitely want to say, and I still have to play more of it, but I've definitely seen enough of it after what I played. Tunic. I definitely want to get back into that one. That is such an awesome game. It's Legend of Zelda meets Dark Souls with animal people.
What platform were you playing it on?
I believe I actually started playing on Xbox, but I want to go to PC with that one.
What makes you want to go to PC?
Same reason I want to go to everything with PC. The ability to get mods. Not just from the... I know we talked about the developer console, but I want to be able to actually watch the community on PC just blow up and go to Steam Workshop and be like, oh, look, here's all this extra content now. I love being able to do that with my games. So nice. I had to give that one definitely some love because Tunic is such a great game. Also, and I gotta... Oh, there's too many. I'm surprised you didn't talk about 13 Sentinels.
13 Sentinels, it did come out on Switch this year, but it had come out last year on PlayStation. That's where I played it.
Right, no, I thought you also played it on Switch. That's why.
I didn't play it on Switch. But 13, I guess it gives me the opportunity to talk about it.
Sure, go for it.
13 Sentinels, let me just say this much about 13 Sentinels. I loved it. There's a strategy portion of the game, and while the graphics and everything on the strategy portion of the game are kind of like, really? This kind of looks like something that could have been done on PS2. Okay. It's still got enough strategy to it that it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a visual novel portion of it where all the story is in there, and there's so many branching paths and everything to explore that it's crazy. And the story itself, you start out thinking it's one thing. By the time you are at the end, you are like, what the hell?
Well, I have not finished the game fully, but I have played a little bit of it. It's definitely a very pretty game. It definitely has the
Vanillaware.
It is Vanillaware. Yeah. I was gonna say, for some reason my brain wants to say platinum. I'm like, no, it's Vanillaware, man. Yeah, no, it definitely has the Vanillaware touch to the graphics.
I think it's an excellent game. 10 out of 10 in my opinion. And I was able to platinum it just by regularly playing the game. You did not have to go out of your way to platinum the game. If you guys can find it on sale, pick it up. Tell me what you think, because the story is crazy. and glorious.
Well, I'm looking through all the other, list of games, because I'm trying to remember every single game I played this year. Because a lot of times my job requires me to sit on my butt and wait. And I hate doing that. So I try to find games to play. And too many games came out this year that are not fantastic.
We could save that for a different time.
Yeah, that's a different time. But no, I was trying to go through to be like, okay, which ones that really kind of hit home with me? And there's just a lot of great games out there, as much as there's not a lot of great games out there. But I am going to end with this one because, well, all right, hang on a second. I didn't play it this year. I've had it since early access, but it officially released this year. So I want to talk about Raft.
Okay.
I love it. It's a great game. You start off on a 4x4 plank of wood. There's a shark trying to eat your feet, and you need to survive the world. And you do that by using your hook on a rope and grabbing crap out of the ocean and trying to build a new boat. And there's actually a story behind it now. And it's such an innovative game for what it is. I enjoy it. So I just honorable mention Raft. I had to. But the biggest one, probably the bestest one. I've been talking about it for the past 3 weeks on this podcast. If you haven't been paying attention to me, you need to go back and listen to the other podcasts. Go back to those old episodes and really listen, and then come back and then listen to this one from the beginning so that we get more views. And no, it's Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah,
Sonic
Frontiers on my list too.
Yeah, it has to be. It is such a fantastic game. And the funny thing is, after playing through Sonic Frontiers, and I've 100% what they've got so far. Mm-hmm. Like, I've cleaned up all the islands, even though I didn't need to. I've completed all the cyberspace levels. I have I've platinumed the trophy system. I went back after doing that and I started playing Sonic Forces because I'd never played it before. And it's so cool because I'm like, I'm finally getting the comments that the game has been making to me this entire time. Because they talk about stuff like Infinite, the major villain of Forces. They talk about other characters as well. But it's just like, oh, I get this now. At this point, it's like every Sonic game I'm going to play now is just like feeding me more information into Frontiers so I can enjoy Frontiers more. But yeah, it really is a good game. And it has a soundtrack that is going to stay with me at least this year. And when I say this year, I mean like 12 full months. Like it's with me. It's such a fantastic game.
I like the game, but it's been very polarizing. There's been some people out there that say that it's definitely terrible. While I don't agree with their opinion.
Those people exist on social media.
I still think the game is worth trying out and seeing what you like.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
That's really all I got, which is kind of a shame because there's been some really great games that have come out this year that I've yet to play.
Yep.
I really want to play
Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. I want to try that.
Yeah. Saints Row.
Callisto Protocol I want to play.
I've heard a lot of bad things about
that
lately.
I still want to try it.
I want to know.
Still want to try it.
But yeah,
I didn't for Horizon Forbidden West. I own it, but I haven't been able to try it yet.
Right? Yeah, me too.
And so that game's probably good. If I had gotten to it, probably is on this list.
God of War Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, gosh, God of War Ragnarok. I'm surprised you didn't have that one because you didn't.
Well, I haven't played it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a ton of games. Triangle Strategy, like I said earlier. Dealfield Chronicle. I would love to add to my list.
Live Alive.
Yeah, I still have to get to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the point being is there's a ton of games out there, and I wish I had the time to play them all.
I guess the point is, if it's not on our list right now, does not mean it's a bad game.
Exactly.
And
it may not match with your list, but we want to know what your list is. So put it in the comments down below, along with everything else.
I don't really have anything to add to that.
You don't? Okay. Well then, I think we're done.
Yes, we are.
We're not just done for this episode. We're done for the year.
Yep.
Yay! Oh, I mean, ooh, oh, boo, so sad. Seriously though, we appreciate you guys. We do need to take the break though. Like I talked before. in one of the previous episodes, we're spending time with family and friends this holiday season, and we hope you are too. And even if it's a tough time for you this year, I hope listening to us at least alleviates your burden a little bit. I hope you guys have an awesome Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice, whatever else is coming up, New Year's. There's a bunch. We thank you guys so much for putting up with us, and we look forward to a complete 12 months of chatting about video games and growing this community and talking with all you lovely folks. So,
indeed.
So with that said, have yourselves a fantastic day. Have yourselves a fantastic year. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Later.